Spirits are easy. People are hard. Take it from me, someone who has seen in the spiritual realm since I was very small. And take it from me, someone who has seen in the spiritual realm since I was very, very small. Spirits are easy. People are hard. I don't feel like I need to say a lot more, but I'm going to. I think that, in ancient times, the ancient Egyptians, for example, understood that the spirit that you partnered with in life was the one that would follow you into the next life. And emperors from Nero to Caligula to even here, I'm recording today in France, King Louis, who was killed in the revolution, wanted to be the sun god. He wanted to choose partnership with that spirit and embody it, and unfortunately that did not end well for him. Watching people choose partnership with really bad spirits gets complicated. And when a bad spirit sort of comes into the area, it doesn't usually come empty-handed. It comes with a promise of power, control, authority, immortality, lots of different things that, power, control, And if you get a bad offer at the exact wrong time, you might take the bad offer. And it can become really difficult to know when you start noticing something's up with this person who may have taken a really bad offer. What's driving the bus here? Is it the person or is it their friend? And at times, this animating spirit that they may have chosen partnership with might be waiting to take a crack shot at anybody else who is around at the wrong time. I have, as a seer and as someone who clings very hard to Jesus, I have been around people that I have watched as they have taken on almost a completely different form. And I have seen as their animating spirit sort of takes over, and you start to realize that the person that you trusted has taken a really bad deal. And then it becomes hard to know, do you back away or do you walk closer? Because sometimes a person who you love may be in need. And really, it's usually both, because if someone is willing to let you come in close to them, you might be able to help. But if they're not, you might be sparring with something that has found itself a very comfortable home and does not want to leave. Unfortunately, this happens because people get drunk with promised power and control that these spirits have promised them. And this is really intoxicating, especially if you'll remember I said the exact wrong time. A lot of times these spirits will show up in really difficult moments where control or power have already been lost in some area. But the main difference and the way that you know when somebody's got a really gnarly situation happening, the difference that you can tell if somebody is operating in the Holy Spirit or a bad spirit, the tell is almost always control. Because when somebody goes into overdrive and into control, there is another spirit that has entered the chat. Because rather than control, Holy Spirit offers us in Galatians 5 self-control and peace. And oftentimes trying to control a situation is the antithesis of self-control and peace. And so when you are dealing with someone not in peace, not in self-control, and oftentimes trying to be in other control, a great question when you run into someone who is on the rampage with their little friend is to ask Holy Spirit, why is it here? And what part of this person's heart do you want to speak truth towards? And help me to know how to love, to speak words that will heal and not harm. And then that statement of truth, I believe with all my heart that Holy Spirit will give you that statement. When you are confronted in this situation, He will give you the words to speak. And in that situation, a statement of truth becomes something that this person can choose to receive or not. And the best part, you cannot control whether or not they receive it, because God Himself does not violate our free will or our choices and does not control us. And so if God gives you a statement of truth, you get to put it down right there. Let them decide what they are going to do with it. And you may not see results or fruit for many years. And this is one of the best, freest, most amazing ways that you can actually see somebody walk into freedom. I remember I had this situation happen with a longtime close personal friend, and we were in a conversation and a situation, and I legitimately watched something come over this person. And God gave me some very clear, direct words that I spoke that day, and I put them down and walked away. And this can be really helpful when somebody that you love and care about is having a moment or has possibly offered a big open door to something that they shouldn't have. Speak the truth that may sting but will heal. And then walk away and let it cook. Let them cook, because you cannot be in charge of controlling someone. You cannot be in charge of telling them how they need to live their life, because at that point you're operating in a different sort of spirit. It comes down to speak in here and walk away, because you're moving in partnership with a different spirit that has nothing to do with control. And we see this in Ephesians 4. It talks about not being infants, tossed to and fro by the waves and blown here and there by every wind of teaching and by cunningness and craftiness of people in their deceitful scheming. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect the mature body of Him who is the head, that is Christ. And asking God for words to speak to people that He loves, that they can grow to maturity, will have the desired effect and outcome. But where I see this go wrong is when people decide that instead of having self-control, they want to have other control. And so, in summary, you have to learn how to ask better questions of God, recognize the Spirit in operation by its fruit. Is it self-control or other control? And learning how to not just hear truth, well, you shouldn't be acting this way, but actually learning how to understand why someone is acting that way and ask God for keys of breakthrough that cut through the noise. That's the key. Hey there, I'm Mary. If you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button. I've also got a lot of free Substacks and content. You can find that below. And I also teach online courses on hearing God and the spiritual realm that get a little bit more in depth than we can really get into in a YouTube comment section. So those are below. But if you enjoyed listening, just keep on listening. Swipe for the next video.